What's up, guys? Nick White here. I do tech and coding stuff on Twitch and YouTube. Check the description for all my information. We do all the LeetCode problems, and I got a big playlist if you want to check them out. We got generate parentheses. For some reason, we missed this one, even though it's very popular. I feel like I did it on a bunch of other videos, though. Given n pairs of parentheses, write a function to generate all combinations of well-formed parentheses. This is a really popular problem. There's a million ways to do this. You could use backtracking, dynamic programming, stacks, like all, just different ways to do it. You could just use pointers, there's different ways to solve the parenthesis problem, and it's usually a variation problem. There's some different ways to do that they explain the parenthesis problem, but in this case we want well-formed parentheses, and we're going to be returning a list of them based on a number. Okay, so we're going to get a number, right? Our function takes in a number and it returns a list. So what is the number? The number is n pairs of parentheses. So that's how many pairs of parentheses that we're going to be returning, right? So if we have 3 as the number, n equals 3, then we are going to return every possible combination of 3 pairs of well-formed parentheses. And well-formed parentheses, basically, if we look at this example here, we can see that well-formed parentheses means each opening parenthesis has a corresponding closing parenthesis. So in this case, this opening parenthesis has this corresponding closing one. This opening one has this closing one. And they're nested, right? So there's 2 types. You could have nested or you could have next to each other, right? So these 2 are next to each other, but they're nested in these outer ones, right? And that's fine. These 2 are nested within this pair, right? And then there's a pair right here. So as long as there's an opening and the corresponding closing with that opening, it's fine. There cannot be closing braces before opening braces. That's not well formed, right? That's going to be incorrect. It cannot look like this. That is not how we're going to be doing it here. Okay. All right. I think we understand. So how do we do this? It looks like the best solution to do this is backtracking. Definitely not the easiest. I'd say stacks are probably the most just easy in general, but we're going to do backtrack. It is one of the easiest ways to understand backtracking. This is one of the easiest backtracking problems. So I'm going to just set up the template backtracking code. So this is the template backtracking code. You have a separate method called backtrack, and then that's, and then basically you have usually backtracking involves a list and returning a list. So what you're going to do in this case is just set up your list. We'll call it output array, and it's just going to be an array list, basic array list. Boom. And you return that output array after you call the backtracking method. So you call the backtracking method and you pass in your output array. This is literally template code, right? You're going to take in the output array here. Boom. So we take it in, right? And what we're going to do is our base case, this is how it works in all backtracking problems. So we have some base case, some base case, some base condition, some base case, where we actually add something onto the list, the output array. So this output array will be adding some kind of data here, and in this case, it's going to be strings, okay? So we're actually going to be adding strings in this backtracking problem, so we're going to just say backtrack current string. This is still template code, so this is the data type you're going to be adding in the base case. So we're going to be adding current string in our base case. Our base case will get hit. This is a recursive function. Backtracking is recursive. And when the base case gets hit, we add a new string onto our output array. And at the end of that, we just write return, right? So this is all just standard template code. The other template code is you're going to be making decisions. Backtracking always involves decisions, and you make all possible decisions in these recursive calls. So what is the base case going to be, I guess? Base case is going to be, well, we're looking at pairs, right? We're looking at n equals 3, so all possible combinations. So what we're going to want to keep track of is the maximum number of parenthesis pairs we can have. So basically what we're going to do is if the current string is equal, so this is the base case, if the current string dot length is equal to max times 2, then we're going to add our string onto the output array, because that means that if max is 3, like in this case, if the current string is size 6, that means there's 3 pairs of parentheses, because there's 2 parentheses per pair. So we just do max, because that's the number of pairs, times 2 to get the actual length of the string that we want, right? Yeah, so that looks pretty straightforward there. Now we just have to actually handle our decisions. So what are our decisions going to be based on? Well, we need to actually handle parameters. Our max is going to come from just n. And our current string is going to start as an empty string. We need to handle our decisions, and we're going to do that using variables open and close to handle the number of opening and closing parentheses that we'll have. So we're just going to send in 0 and 0, because at first we have an empty string, 0 opening, 0 closing parentheses, right? And then we'll say, okay, if open is less than max, if open, because max is going to be the maximum number of opening and the maximum number of closing parentheses we can have. So if open is less than max, which is 3, then that means we can backtrack. We can call our recursive method with the output array. We call it with the current string, but we're going to add an opening parenthesis to it, because open isn't at the maximum number of open parentheses we can have yet. Then we're going to pass in our open variable plus 1, and then we're going to just pass in the same closing variable. We're not adding a closing here. And then max. So this is a decision that we're making. So you call all possible decisions. What's the other decision? Well, if close is less than open, because we have this condition. We would do close less than max 2, because we want to have the maximum number of opening and closing parentheses, right? But we do closes less than open because we cannot have closing parentheses before opening parentheses. So there you go. This time it's the same thing. This is our other decision, but you have that check because you can't have closing before opening. So as long as close is less than open, that means there's an open, and you could have a corresponding closing one there. So we add a closing one this time. Open stays the same, and then we do close plus 1. And these will do recursive calls, and I'll do a walkthrough of how this works. So this should be pretty much it. So the string basically, I'll talk about it one more time. Error cannot be applied to given types. What is this? So we pass in the output array, which is the list of strings. We didn't add the parameters for those. So we say int open, int close. Might have to redo this video because it's a little bit messy. There we go. So that is the solution for the backtracking solution. Great. Let me do a code walkthrough. I wrote this out a couple minutes ago, and let me just talk about it one more time. So let's just think about it. Backtracking is where we have this list, right? And it's usually done with permutations or subsets or generating, different kind of permutations or all possible combinations, right? Backtracking does that kind of stuff usually. It's like 2 to the n kind of problems, right? And basically this is how it looks every single time. You just have your output data structure. You call a backtrack method with some initial data, and there's these possible decisions you can make. So you have your backtrack method here. You take in your data structure, and you call these possible decisions, right? In this case, our possible decisions is, okay, we have this current string. We have this empty string. Do we want to add an opening, or do we want to have a closing to it right now? And we always want to add opening before a closing. So you just do, as long as opening isn't at the maximum number of opening parentheses we can have, because we can only have up to a certain amount of pairs, then we add an opening. And as long as close is less than open, because we can't have closing before opening parentheses, then we add a closing brace. We increment these counters, and we do these checks just to make sure we're not going out of bounds, like the opening is less than max, the closing is less than opening, and we just check. The string will always, when it gets added to that output array, be the size of max times 2. That's exactly what we're aiming for, right? Because we want this number of pairs of parentheses, right? So 3 number of pairs of parentheses is going to be size 6 string every time, so we just do a check. Okay, is our current string at the maximum length times 2? And we could add it to our output array. And we do this, and if you go through the test cases here, I have this big thing written out, right? So let's look at a test case of size 2. So n is equal to 2, right? Basically, I have it written out, so I have all the variables written out. Current is set to 0, is set to an empty string. This is our output array. We're looking at n is 2, right? That's what we pass in. Our max is 2 because we take in max as a parameter, and we pass in 2n as max, right? So the max pairs we could have is 2. Open and close start at 0. So is open less than max? Is open less than max? That's what we're checking right away. Is 0 less than 2? Yes, it is. So you do a recursive call, and you do the string plus an opening parenthesis, and you increment open. Now this is all recursion inside of there. The other call after that is close less than open. Is close less than open? False, because 0 is not less than 0 at this point. Okay, great. We're inside that's this whole first recursive call doesn't even get called. So this never gets called initially on there. Now we're inside of the recursion, right? So we're inside. We got now open is 1, so we do another. Now we have these methods again inside of the recursive call because it does everything over again. Okay, is 1 less than 2, so it's another recursive call in there, and you add another opening. So this is double openings, and you can see where that goes headed. And then close less than opening. Yes, 0 is less than 1 inside of the recursive call, and then you do the opening and then the closing parenthesis, and then it's another, and then it keeps going in the recursive call. I don't want this video to go on too long, so maybe you could pause and look at all of the stuff I planned out. But basically there's recursion inside of there. So is opening less than max? Yes, it's 1 less than 2, so then you add another opening, and then eventually it's another recursion down here. Is 2 less than 2, so that's false in that point. And then is close less than open? Is 1 less than 2? Yes. So it ends up being this opening, closing, which is one of the answers. And then there would be deeper recursion in here, which would end up being, I don't even think I wrote all this out, open, close. And those are the two for the two. So maybe pause that and look at it. That was just a walkthrough. If you walk through even just n equals 1, it'll help you understand. This is a little bit different than backtracking because we have these conditions here, which are a little bit unusual to backtracking. But, so it kind of stops us from actually going backwards all that much. But, yeah, that's pretty much it for this problem. Let me know if you have any questions. Backtracking problems are probably some of the hardest to explain, as well as dynamic programming. But, the template code is essentially you have a base case, you do all these decisions, and when the condition gets hit, it gets added to the output array and returns, and eventually you just return the output array after all the stuff. It's usually kind of slow compared to other algorithm solutions. So let me know if you guys have any questions about this. Let me know if the solution I give or the explanation I gave kind of suck. I didn't feel perfect about it here, but I feel okay about it, but not that good. I don't know. I'm going to do a bunch of backtracking ones, so check out for those. Maybe they'll be a little bit better in the future. So let me know what I think. Let me know if you understand. Please like and subscribe. And yeah, thanks for watching. See you in the next.